of you asked about Rinpoche and how we met. I think many of you by now know about him, about the bio we published at the event, and he's a nomadic monk, as far as I'm concerned, traveling with an 8-kilo bag around the world.
Not 8.
Not 8?
12.
12 kilo. Okay, sorry. 12 kilo. Although it's still a check-in bag mostly, yeah. Traveling around the world most of the year, at least 10 months, I think.
No.
No?
7.
7, okay. 7, all right, okay. And it wasn't easy to meet him. I got to know him through his books. He published many books, I think around 20. And when I started studying Buddhism, his books were the most accessible for me. He published a series called The Lazy Lama, which I resonated a lot. I'm like, okay, how can I do this in a very quick, easy manner? And he has a series that is like very small and thin books and about everything, from meditation to emotional management and everything. So that was my kind of initial connection with Rinpoche. And later on, we met in India during some teachings. I think it was 2017. And actually, I owe this connection to Uber, which should have sponsored this event, I think. Because we met while he was trying to call Uber on his phone, and something went wrong with the app, and he just pulled me aside, can you help me? So I'm grateful for Uber, loyal customer for life. And that was our kind of initial interaction.
Yes.
Of course, before I was asking him, like every time I saw him, can I have a picture, etc. But that was the formal connection. And over the years, I got to attend some teachings by him and study and learn from him. And he's been an incredible source of wisdom, stability, and joy for me. So I wanted to share this with you, and hence this event, basically. So I'm so glad that you could make it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I wrote the event description. I'm fully responsible for all the premises that were made in the description. It almost claimed that you will get enlightened in half an hour. Rinpoche has no responsibility over that. It was all my ideas. If we can just find balance in life, if we don't get stirred by the markets crashing, if we are never agitated, if we are always calm and joyful, wouldn't that be nice? So this talk is going to be how to get there in a very short time, right? Rinpoche, please.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to see all of you this afternoon. I come from Tibet. I was born in Tibet, in a very remote part of Tibet, in the eastern part of Tibet. And I lived in the open air. I was born in a tent on the hill, on the mountain, where nobody was there. It was organized like that. And then I used to live in a black tent made of yak hair. And that's what most of the Tibetans, especially the nomadic people, used to live. They could make fire in the tent. The tent could be very big. And then we had cattle and yaks and sometimes sheep. And I remember very well, I actually myself lived in this way and used to sleep outside at night, could see all the stars, and it was very nice actually. And also in 1957, at that time the Chinese army was already in that area. So our parents revolted against them. We had, in that area, we had different kingdoms in that area. And our kingdom was called Ling Kesar Kingdom. And one day, the communist Chinese government invited the king and queen and everybody who was somebody into the palace for a meeting. And it was not really a meeting. They arrested everybody and imprisoned them in the palace. And that time, then some people who were outside, like my uncle, two uncles, and some other people, they made an army of themselves because people in that part of the world had guns. And they attacked the palace and took out all the prisoners. So the Chinese army came from all sides. So we fled. So we were running away, and sometimes, hiding in the daytime and traveling at night. This way, it took us more than 2 years, from 57, beginning of 57 to 59. So I have all the experiences of living outside and in the forest, in the mountains, and all kinds of things, and I like them. So I'm very happy to be in this place. I usually don't get the chance to talk to people in this kind of open air. Every time it's organized in rooms and things like that. But I always felt a difference when I'm talking to people in the city. Even if that place is completely silent and peaceful, it's not same as if it is in the countryside. If I'm talking to people in the countryside, it seems to go directly inside them. And if I'm talking in the city, it seemed to bounce back. There's something, I don't understand why it's like that, but I really felt that very strongly. So I'm very happy that we are here in the countryside and open air. There's one university in India called Shantiniketan, which is in Bengal. It was started by a great Indian poet called Rabindranath Tagore. I don't know if some of you know him. He started this university, and all the classes happened under trees and outside, and it's still like that. It's very beautiful. It's very nice. So the subject that I'm supposed to talk about is joy and rejoice. Is it something like that? So she wanted me to talk about how to face the life, kind of
change.
How to face the changing life situations and things like that. And that I've faced a lot. So I can tell something about that. I came as a refugee into India, and without anything. Me and my parents not only didn't have any money and things like that, But we didn't speak any language that was spoken in India. We haven't seen any of the food that was there. We didn't know how to cook anything, And so therefore, it was kind of not so easy. And on top of that, the climate was so different. In Tibet, it was all cold. And there it was too hot. And we didn't have any cloth made of, like this thing. It was all fur, And so it was a challenge. And then there was all these mosquitoes and, leeches and, and we had to sleep in the forest where it was full of leeches, and every night, everybody was like this, swollen because of, and the leeches sometimes go into your nose also, and it was like that. And so lots of people even died because things like that. And like that, from that onwards we started. So, but nothing remains same, Nothing remains same. Even if we feel and we kind of know and we see that there is no possibility to make it better, even then, somehow some things get better. And now I'm this fat. So therefore, I've eaten a lot and I've enjoyed everything, And I'm traveling all over the world, and I'm very fortunate that I can meet people like you everywhere, like her, and they always help me, give me all, respect, friendship, kindness, and everything. So, this is how things are, and that's why it is often said that, it's very important for everybody to remind themselves and recognize the impermanent nature of the world, Everything changes. Everything changes all the time. So even if, you feel that things are very bad, it doesn't remain that way all the time. Even if you feel that everything is completely good, you don't need to remain like that all the time. I would like to tell a story. There was one king, and this king was a very good king. So he was really working very hard to uplift the people, the country, and he made lots of progress. So the kingdom was doing very, very well. And then the king was thinking that, everything is going very well, but I need to, increase my own knowledge and, experience, and I need to get very good advice from very wise people. So he told people that, can you find something, just one sentence or something, that could really help me in my life? And they were telling lots of things. So he took them all, but he said, it's okay, but, keep on finding. And then somebody said, there is this very wise man in another country, and he's supposed to be very, very good at giving the most succinct and very important advices to people. So he said, I'll go there. So immediately he took his people and he went there. And there he found this man in the forest, in a very small kind of a hut, looking very, ordinary. And he asked him, can you give me a very short advice that would help me when I'm in really deep crisis and things like that. He said, well, I'm not really a very wise man, but my father was a wise man. And he gave me something and said that, if you are in a really big crisis, then you should look into this. So I can give it to you. So he gave him a ring. This ring had 2 stones in it. One was blue and one was red. And he said that my father told me that if I'm in a situation which is totally bad, that you can feel that there is no way to get out of this situation, as totally hopeless and lost, then you open the red stone and see what's there under it. And if you are in a very, very good situation, you feel everything is so good and so perfect and so well that it can't be better, then you open the blue stone and there will be something. So you look at it, and that will solve your problems. So he was very he was very appreciative. He took this ring and then he went back. And in a few years, because his kingdom was going so well, and then the kingdoms around, neighboring kingdoms, were jealous about him. And there was a big kingdom who had much stronger army and much more, bigger, very big. They attacked him and he was defeated. And then all his army was lost, everybody was lost. He was alone. So he was running just to escape from there. And he was hiding in a gorge under a rock. And he could see that the other kingdom's army was searching for him everywhere. And then he thought, now I am finished and there is no hope. And, they will find me maybe very soon. And then I will be killed. So he thought, this is the chance to have a look at the ring. So he took out the red stone and looked under it. And there it was written in a very small letter, this will also pass away. So he thought, yes, it could be that, everything changes, so this could also pass. So he got some courage out of that. And then he really made sure that he's not captured. And so he got out of this, and then he slowly, got his own people around, and he made his army, and then he attacked back, and he got back his kingdom. But this time he got back not only his own kingdom, but also the kingdom that actually conquered him, because the other king was not so good. So he had a much bigger and much larger kingdom and army. And then he really worked hard for the development. So it went very well, and even like before. And then all other kingdoms around them also became his friends, and they wanted to work together. And so therefore, then he thought that this is the best thing they can have. There's nothing that can become better than that. So he thought maybe it's time to look at the other stone. So he took out the blue stone and he saw under that, this will also pass. So then he prepared that he gave his kingdom to his sons, and then he retired, and then, everything went very well. So it's a little bit like that, everything changes. And if we can understand this and remind ourselves when things are even worse, I think it gives us the courage to, to not lose hope. And this is, I think, very important in life, because it so often happens that when we something negative happens, some calamities happen, then we think that that's the end and we give up. I thought you might be kind of expecting me to give you meditation instructions, because usually when a Buddhist teacher is there, everybody says, how do you meditate and things like that. Meditation is very good, it's very important, but from my own experience, it's not that meditation gives that quick result, You have to learn meditation, you have to do it, and it takes time to give, result. But to change our attitude, to learn some ways of thinking and to react, actually can give effect almost immediately. So therefore, I find it very important that we learn how to look at the situations and then remind ourselves of what is the right way or what is the best way to, and that actually in my life, it gave me much more help to face situations and, life and problems by doing that, because it can really, it can give you another kind of perspective of life. So one of the things is, there is a saying in one of the very important classics of Buddhist teachings, which helped me a lot, and which even His Holiness Dalai Lama quotes and says that it helped him a lot. That is what it's written like this. If you see that you can do something to change the situation, then there's no need to get upset, to get angry, to get, to get worried, because you can do that. If you see that there is absolutely no way that you can change the situation and something that happens, then what is the use of getting angry, getting upset, and getting worried? This is, I think, a very important way to look at, because when something happens, then we become very upset, we become very angry, we become very worried, we become very, we completely kind of so much kind of act and react with negative emotions that we can, we can do very stupid things and things like that. So therefore, this, if we understand it, if we kind of remind ourselves, if something happens And then you say, is it something that I can do something and then make things better? Or is it something that there's nothing you can do? It's like that. So if most of the time there is something you can do, probably, at least to make it slightly better. If that is the case, then instead of wasting our time in, being very sorry, being very upset, being very, like all negative, we just start to do something to make things better. And we feel already optimistic, Optimistic is not necessarily always, that you have to solve all the problems. Optimistic is that if anything is little better, or you know that it can become better, that's also optimistic. Okay. So therefore, sometimes it seems that, you have too many problems. You have too many problems, and you don't know how to solve them. And then you get very upset and sad and, down and, lost and things like that. And that's something sometimes happens to all of us, because I've seen with my own experience that everybody can have problems, Poor people have their own problems, rich people have their own problems, powerful people have their own problems, famous people have their own problems. There's nobody who doesn't have any problems. But, everybody has some good sides also, for nice things, wonderful things. And to remind ourselves of that is important. If you want, I can tell a story.
Yeah.
You want another story? This is, there was one person, and this person had lots of problems. He had one, to make it short, problem number 1, problem number 2, problem number 3, up to problem number 10. So he was very much, under all these problems, and he was always thinking of them, and he was never able to solve these problems. So he was really kind of at the breaking point. And he had a friend, who wanted to help him, but he couldn't do anything because he had so many problems, and there is no way to kind of solve these problems. And one time, this friend heard that one person have come from somewhere, supposed to be very good at solving problems and giving kind of advices and things like that. So he went to his friend who has problems and said, I heard that there's somebody there who kind of is good at giving advice, and would you like to go and see him? He said, no, nobody can solve my problems. It's completely finished, I'm finished. He said, yes, but you wouldn't lose anything just to hear something from him. So he persuaded him to go. And then he met this person. He was sitting in a room, and then he was just looking very normal, and he told him all his problems. I have this problem number 1, problem number 2, he explained all his problems up to problem number 10. And then, instead of giving him some hints on how to solve these problems, he said, can you see with your eyes? He says, yes, I can see with my eyes, no problem at all. My eyes are very good. That's not my problem. I have these problems. Then he says, can you see different colors in my room? He says, I can see. That's not my problem. I ask you, I told you all my problems, and can you really, if you have something to say about that, then I will be happy. Otherwise, I'll go away. And it's not my eyesight is not the problem. Again, this man said, how many red things there in my room? He became very upset and angry, And he just looked around and said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He said, there may be 10 things red in your room, but that's not my problem. My problem is, I told you what, I can see very well, that's not my problem. Then he said, how many blue things there are in my room? He got really angry. He says, I'm not going to count. I'm sure there are lots of blue things in your room, but I'm not going to count. I'm going. And he said, yeah, okay. You counted red things in my room, and you found there are 10. You don't know how many blue things in my room, because you didn't count. You have 10 problems, big problems, because you have been counting all the time. Do you know how many positive things and good things in your life? Then he said, well, I'm sure I have some good things also in my life, but I've not counted them. He said, that's the problem with you. You go back and count all the good things that you have in your life, and then come back tomorrow. So he went back, and he had to count all the good things in his life, and he had lots of good things in his life, more than 10. And then next day he came back and says, actually it's true, I have lots of good things in my life. I have more than 10. I have lots of good things in my life. He said, that's how it is, You have a problem? Yes. Everybody has problems. And some of the problems you have, you might be able to solve them. Some of them get solved more quickly. Some of them may take time to solve. Some of them may not be solved. You have to live with them. But you have also very good things in your life. And you need to appreciate that. And you need to feel and remind yourself of those good things and enjoy those good things. If you can enjoy those positive things you have in your life, you will immediately feel much better. Because instead of thinking all the bad things and difficulties and problems you have, you can think about all the good things you have. Because how we feel is not how things are, but where we focus our mind. So if we focus on our positive things, it will make our mind feel that. So therefore, do that. It's not that you don't have to forget all the problems you have. You have to work on that. You have to try to solve them. But also, often remind yourself of all the positive things, all the good things. Focus your mind on that. Enjoy that, and appreciate that. That will change your life. And it actually did. He didn't feel totally kind of hopeless and lost and things like that, because sometimes it's just the way we focus our mind. How I feel is not how everything is. There are lots of things happening in my life, lots of problems also, but lots of good things also. And so if I can balance and look at and think and enjoy and focus on my good things, then I will also feel good. that's something I think very useful in life. Very good, useful in life, because there is nobody who doesn't have problems. So then, we have to balance that. And one thing I wanted to actually say, she asked me to say about joy. I said, you must add rejoice. And rejoice is something very important, I think, to me. Rejoice is the opposite of envy and jealousy. Rejoice is something, in Indian language, it's called mudita. And it's something that not many people talk about and think about. Even like compassion and kindness, many of us, almost everybody, have compassion and kindness to the people who are suffering. If you see somebody suffering and having problems, everybody feels bad about that, and at least wish good to that people. If not trying to help, they do help also. But if somebody is much better off, much more well off than yourself, usually people don't have that kind of kindness. They feel little, kind of envy or jealousy, or you don't wish that well people who are much better well off than yourself. You think they're like that kind of, and that is not good, because they also have their own problems. So therefore, instead of feeling kind of envy and jealousy, if I can feel rejoice, if somebody did something good, I genuinely feel happy and joyful and rejoice. If somebody got something, better than yourself or something special, you really rejoice at that. Very good that he has that or she has that. Whatever positive things that anybody is having and doing or getting or achieving or whatever, then that person is happy because of that, and there is no reason why you should be unhappy. Because if I'm unhappy, then I'm making myself unhappy for no reason. It wouldn't get me anything. I just make myself unhappy. My neighbor is got a very nice car. He's got a nice car. It's kind of, I don't make friends with that, But if I rejoice at that, so you got such a nice car, it's very good, and you really rejoice that person will be happier, and immediately you become friend. And most of the cases, you might get a lift. In the same way, when you feel good at somebody else's positive things, good things, actually it's very good, because you can be happy without spending anything. You can be just happy because somebody is doing something, or somebody has done something, or somebody has achieved something, somebody has got something, you're happy. So you can be happy all the time, And then you become also very, you appreciate them, you become friends, you like that. And also it's lots of positive, you become a very positive person. So this is something which is a little bit not understood by many people. And this is something that I think is a very important thing in life. You rejoice at everybody's positive things. You have a very nice dress, you look very beautiful, anything, you just feel good, because by your feeling good about somebody's, good things, you don't lose anything. But you gain happiness yourself, you feel positive, other person feels good, and you make a very good kind of a connection, and you can feel good because something is good happening everywhere. So this is something I just wanted to mention, and so I think I'm told that I should talk for half an hour. Maybe, I don't know, more than half an hour, but that's enough. And if you have any questions or any, whatever, you are most welcome.
So if you have any questions, please either shout or we're welcome to come there and come on. Yes, Jerry.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for some beautiful story. If we were to come together as a community, let's say on a monthly basis, what would be the practices that you would encourage us to do to create trust and to create a sense of solidarity and communitas? Obviously, rejoice, I think, is a beautiful one, and it's something that I'd love to see more of. But what else would you suggest?
I think there are lots of things like that. You can read, you can discuss, and there are things that you can also, you can meditate a little bit also, which is a good thing, because everything happens in the mind, first. And if our mind is in a good way, then everything becomes okay, So therefore, if we can learn a little bit, but that's where we need a little bit time, We need to learn how to relax our mind, how to let it be in its natural state. Because if we can do that even a little bit, our mind can become more peaceful. And because it becomes more peaceful, it can become more joyful. Because it is more joyful, therefore it can become also more kinder. And we need that. In this world, there are so many problems, like now, and it's not only now, every time, all the time. There's been wars, and all these conflicts. And when there is a war, we all know how bad it is, They kill each other, they completely, destroy each other, even little children to old people to sick people. They say that, wars and love, you don't need to, what is it said? There is no, how they say it? Anything is kind of, everything is, how they say it in English? Everything is fair in love and war, and they say fair. It's not fair, but they do it anyway. And why do we have wars? If you look into the history, history of humankind, it's a history of war, And every time there's a war, there is nobody winning actually. Both sides, are losing, So many people dying, so many people injured, all different kind of, And why? Because, if you look a little bit deep into the causes of the war, basically there is, the immediate cause is hatred. But behind that could be greed, you want something from other country, things like that. And then you try to create divisions, and then create hatred, and create jealousy, and then misunderstanding, and all these things. And then we make war. And when we make war, we become like demons. We don't remain like a human being anymore. So therefore, if we have to change this, we need to learn how to be kind to each other, If most of the people in the world become kind to each other, there's no problem tomorrow. It can be that quick that there will be no war, there will be no atrocities, there will be no injustice, because we treat each other kindly, friendly, respectfully. The world will become a heaven on earth. And there is nobody who doesn't appreciate, like everybody. I like all of you to be kind to me. I like all of you to be friendly to me. I like all of you to be respectful to me. And I don't think any of you want otherwise, no? All of you want everybody to be kind and friendly and, and respectful. And there is nobody in the world who doesn't want that. And then why we don't do that? Why don't we do that? We don't do that because we have this habitual tendency, and we have this, our mind is disturbed. We have, we follow this, we become hateful, we are misguided, we have lots of greed, we have lots of, so somehow we are not able to free ourselves from this negative state of mind. So if we can learn how to do that, we will be so good, So that's something I think and not only that I want people to be kind and friendly and respectful. If I myself feel kind, friendly, respectful to others, I feel good. I feel so happy and joyful. If I feel angry, hateful, I feel bad, no? I don't think anybody would say that, this morning I had such a wonderful morning. I was so angry. I was so upset. It's like that. So there is something which is totally kind of misguiding us, or something that, deluding our mind. So if we can allow our mind to a little bit relax and learn how to, that could actually change. And so, it's a very good thing to do if, people sometimes meet and discuss these things and try to, find a way, things. Yes.
Thank you for the beautiful stories.
Thanks.
I love them. I wrote them down. From a practical standpoint, when someone gets triggered, when you, like, let's say somebody cuts you off or somebody says something unkind, what are your tools that you use at the moment? I love the, yes, understand these will pass, not focusing on problems, focusing on gratitude. I think the biggest opportunity for all of our growth, it's great to sit under a tree when the sun is shining and there's no obstacles, yet I hear this all the time from people. What about when life happens and you're confronted in that moment? What are your favorite tools to stop yourself from getting triggered in that moment?
I think the best is to not, instead of following that, like what can you say? I'm not treated well. I'm not loved. I'm neglected. I'm rejected. I'm, criticized. And so if you think like that, then you feel more and more bad. So there is a saying. I don't know whose saying it is, but somebody very wise, I think. It said that ordinary people in this kind of situations, ordinary people take revenge. Intelligent people forgive. Wise people ignore. That's how it said. And I thought it's really wise, because people do whatever they want. Nobody can force somebody to like you or to be nice to you or to be kind to you or to do the right thing. You cannot force. So therefore, if you feel very bad and they should not do this, they should do this, they should be kind, they should be understanding, it doesn't work because, they don't do it. So however much you wish and however much you ask for, however much you try to, it might not work. So therefore, how people do things for you, towards you, is up to them, Of course, it's not nice if they're not kind and not nice and things like that. But since that's their way of reacting, so what you have to do is that I'm not as much hurt, I'm okay with that, That's, I think, the most important thing for me. And how much I am hurt is a lot to do with my own way of seeing, If it should not be, he or she should not be saying this, he or she should not be doing this, he or she, how can he or she do this? And if you feel that much, then the more you feel very bad. But if you say that, okay, that's what he or she or whoever is doing, that's their way of doing, I don't need to hold on to it. I don't need to keep it in my mind. I don't need to be that much hurt. Let it be, So I keep my own integrity. I keep my own, whatever. And I keep peace of my mind because my own peace of mind is more important for me than what they do or not do. So if I can do that, then at least I'm less hurt, And that is, I think, the most important thing for us. Yeah. Yes.
If life keeps pushing you into one direction and you want to go to another direction, at a certain point you get confused. Is this to prove, to test my power of will or my wish to go in this direction? Or am I in the wrong direction? And so how do you clear your mind to see what is your direction, where you should go, or what if you are taking the right decision?
Sometimes I feel like this, basically we have to kind of we have to think. I have to think. What is the most important thing for me, in the more kind of ultimate way or in the more kind of near future way, what is it that I really wish and what is it that I want to do, So most of us would like that, I don't want trouble, I don't want suffering, I don't want pain, I want something good, but I also wish that I could do something that I will be proud of myself. I wish that I can do something that in the long time, like when I'm dying, I can look back and say that, yeah, I did something worthwhile, I did something useful, I did something that I could help lots of people, So if I understand this and think on that line, then maybe there, I become clear. But I also, I had my life, I'm 72 now. I had a long life and I had lots of experiences in my life because what happened to me. I always felt that sometimes, you feel that I have to do this or this is what I have to do. And then if you get too much stuck to that, sometimes it doesn't work, Because if you already make like, this is what I have to do, this is, and if you are too much there, I think you miss lots of opportunities, which actually might be much better for you, So therefore, I have myself had this all kind of, if I don't do that, but I say, I like to do these things, but then make my mind open, and if some other opportunities or chances happen, and see that's good for me and that's okay and useful, and then I take that chance, sometimes things get much easier. Because, if I have already fixated my kind of way, and then I have to get everything together, and then each one to get there is a big struggle. And at the end, even if I get all those things, it's nothing really special. But if you allow my mind to be more open, and then when the chances happen, I take, opportunities, sometimes things come just like that. And, in our life, it's also true that sometimes bad things can happen. So bad that I never imagined could happen. But sometimes good things can happen that I never even dreamed of, So therefore, I think let things happen is also not a bad idea. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here and giving the word so far. One of the things in Buddhism they talk about the concepts of attachment being a cause of much of suffering. And what I wanted to ask you specifically is, I think many people here in their personal lives, in their business lives, in their careers, have a goal, something they're working very hard, they're doing everything they can to walk towards this goal, they have this idea in their mind. And do you have any words for how do you stay focused on that goal, handle the setbacks along the way, without getting too attached to this goal and what you're like?
That was exactly I was trying to tell you. There's lots of things happen in our life, If you have a business and, things can go very well, or things can have obstacles. So therefore, if we understand that, it's like that, When there is ups, there is a down, and when there is a down, there is up, So therefore, if we can, feel, understand that the, problems and obstacles and things like that can happen, but can also, change. And so if you have this understanding of impermanence that I was talking about, then you don't get too much hurt, and then you can do something else, or you can do something a little bit in another way, and then it could become better, So therefore, sometimes, when somebody, the life is ups and downs. The life is, nobody has it all like this, Very few people can have this kind of only going like this up. So, of course you have to see, and you have to be clever, and you have to understand what things can be done to make things better and things like that. But also you have to accept, kind of sometimes you will have some fall, have some, obstacles and things like that. But when there are obstacles, yes, your loss is a loss, but it's it's not totally unrecoverable. There is a saying: if you have lost your wealth, nothing is lost. If you have lost your health, something is lost. If you have lost your character, everything is lost. You have heard this. That's an English kind of saying, and I think it's very important. So, there is in the business, there is ups and downs and things like that. Of course, it's better if there is nothing like that, but, I think you need to be, you need to understand this and keep your mind okay, yourself okay, because even if you have, that kind of go down, you don't, you still have your life, you still have your health, then you still have lots of good things. So you need to count your good things and then start anew.
So we get to a point where we count the good things that we have, and let's say there are multiple opportunities ahead of us. How can we try to identify which is the correct path to take? Because it's fine when there's obstacles and we know what is not to do, and there's a clear path in front of us. But when we have multiple opportunities to go for, how do we decide? How can we choose what to choose?
That's always a problem. That's always a problem. Many people do many things. I do like this. If it goes directly on the nose, that's the right one. I'm joking. It's not easy to, you close your eyes and then you do like this, and then that's not good. I think you can also ask, your advisors. You can look all the positive and negative things from this. But the future is not something that you can see, So therefore, you have to kind of take a risk, I think, Yeah, and you will never know actually you really made the, right choice or not. Because you never know what would have actually happened if you did choose the other ones. Because, it looked like everything would have been good. It's not necessarily would have happened like that. No, so it's easy to actually find out even afterwards.
The lady over there asked earlier about when you're faced with difficult people. Thank you, by the way, for all your words. But about when you're faced with difficult people, and you talked about controlling your internal reactions to that? How do you think about your external reactions? So if you have someone difficult in front of you, as you described, how do you then react to them? So internally, again, you're letting it pass through you and not getting hurt, but then if you're confronted with a difficult person, what do you do externally?
Well, I think we have to, I don't think there is one way, There's no one way which is the right one. Actually, there are many right ways and many wrong ways too. So you have to see according to the situation, In that situation, is it better that you just ignore, go kind of not be with that person or something like that? Or sometimes you can discuss things and make things better. Sometimes, there are many different ways, but if we can somehow the less damage for everybody is the best thing, I think. That without losing your kindness, without losing your peace of mind, without losing your friends and situations. Of course, there are always people who are not so easy, There's lots of people who are not easy. So, how you can deal with that, it's not an easy thing to do. But this is something. And also, generally speaking, if you are like, you can, when there is a conflict, there is always a little problem from both sides, It can't be just one side, But everybody thinks it's the other side is the problem. And then there is no solution because, you think that the other side should change, and then he thinks the other side should change, and then so if you have a little bit better way of saying, and then kind of a little bit yourself also give in a little bit, maybe it's more useful. But I don't think there is one way that I can just say that you do this, that's enough.
There's one question there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much for your wisdom and your stories, your time. I have a question around, the fairness of life, like seeing so many people suffering around the globe and being unsure about your own deserving of having a safe life, a good life, embracing the joy of your life, and how do you really deal with this unfairness of life and making sure that you allow space to also grieve for others or show up for others, be present for the pain also around the world. It's something I haven't really figured out yet.
I think I've come to the conclusion that there is nothing called fairness. There's nothing called fairness because, there's no fairness at all, actually.
Yeah.
So therefore, to expect that there should be fairness is not necessarily works, if you look around the world, there's so many problems, so many people suffering, so many different things, not because they did something wrong, but it was just like that because of all the causes and conditions. So, and that, of course, we have to try to, we have to feel that, and we have to try to do something if it is possible to help. but there is really not really something like, kind of a judgment, fair judgment over everybody. Everybody has their own, situation, and so, there are some good things and bad things in every situation. So within that situation, we should try to do the best, I think. And if you are in a good situation, you should feel very grateful and very good for that. You should not feel that, oh, I don't deserve this or anything like that. Yeah, you are having that. That's why you deserve it, and that doesn't mean that you forget everybody else. If you can think about doing something in a big way or a small way or whatever way to be, useful and kind and a little bit helpful to people, less, fortunate than yourself, that would be fantastic. But you don't have to feel bad, I think. Yeah. So, thank you very much. Thank you.